Good morning, neighbor. Welcome back to the Morning Minute Meditation here at the Higher Grounds podcast. The Apostle Paul in Romans chapter 12, verse number 3 says this. He said, "For I say unto you through the grace given unto me, every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly." In other words, he said, you ain't all that. The truth is, no greater place can you see man's ego at its greatest and highest and on display than in the pulpits of American churches. Preachers seemingly feel like they're God's gift to Christianity, and that whatever brand they happen to be in will not go on if they're no longer around. It was D.L. Moody who made this statement, and I wrote it down. He said, you be humble, or you will stumble. No greater truth could be told to us. No greater maxim could you live by as a child of God. Satan knows how to ply us and ploy us to the place and point where we come very short of the glory of God and wind up in sin and then look ridiculous because we, to use this term again, we really ain't all that. It was a problem among the disciples when Peter and John wanted these great seats beside of Christ in the kingdom. And boy, it upset everybody else because they had these ambitions and they were willing to say it. In the book North by Northwest, Walter Cronkite tells a story about him and his wife, just floating down the Mystic River in Connecticut. When a boat came by them loaded with young people, and they were screaming and waving and screaming and waving, and Cronkite stood to his feet and he waved back to the young'uns, and his wife looked at him and he said, "Walter, what did you think they were saying?" He said, "Oh, they were saying, 'Hello, Walter, hello, Walter.'" She said, "Dear, they were saying, 'Low water, low water.'" A lot of times we think of ourselves more highly than we ought to think. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, and he will exalt you in due time. John Flavel said this. He said, "They that know God will be humble, and they that really know themselves cannot be proud." Isn't that true? Think on these things today, friend. Have yourself a grand day in the Lord.